Alice was beginning to get very tired of sitting on the riverbank and of having nothing to do. Her book had no pictures in it.
I wonder what it would like to have an adventure, to explore a world beyond the ordinary riverbank. Oh, how I long for something extraordinary to happen.
Oh dear, I shall be too late. I shall be too late.
White rabbit coming from the audience.
I mustn't lose sight of a peculiar rabbit. Oh, a rabbit hole.
So great. This is
He
amazing.
must have gone down there. Well, here goes nothing. Oh, Mr. Rabbit, wait for me.
I can see why they held it
Alice
outdoors
jumps
now.
into the rabbit hole, where she falls and falls. It feels like she has been falling for miles and miles. She lands with a gentle thud at the bottom of the rabbit hole, uninjured.
Oh my, this is not at all what I expected.
Oh, my ears and whiskers, how late it's getting.
Alice
Oh.
wanders in awe at her new surroundings. A tiny door, no bigger than 15 inches high, catches her eye. Suddenly, a cat with the biggest grin approaches
It's the
Alice.
Cheshire Cat. Oh, that's
Howdy
so
now.
cool.
Do you happen to know where to go?
Oh, the places you'll go. Follow your curiosity, dear Alice.
He's got
Alice
chaps.
spots a bottle on a glass table. The label reads, "Drink me," and contemplates whether to open it.
Should I? Well, what could possibly go wrong?
Silly girl. She decides to drink from the bottle. Suddenly, the most magical thing happens. Alice begins to shrink.
Oh my goodness! I've become so small. I guess now I could go through the door.
Alice wanders through the luscious
Oh my
gardens,
god!
marveling at the vibrant flora and fauna. She spots a
Hookah-smoking caterpillar.
smoking a pipe. The caterpillar is perched atop a giant mushroom, puffing smoke rings.
Oh, excuse me, sir. Might you be able to help me? It seems I've lost my way.
Who are you?
Wow.
I hardly know, sir. At present, I just seem to know where I got up this morning, who I was. Alice. But I think I must have changed several times since then. So I just arrived in Wonderland, you see?
No, I don't see. Oh, Wonderland. A curious place indeed. Tell me, Alice, who do you wish to be?
I'm not sure I understand. I simply want to find my way back home.
Home, hmm? Perhaps the path lies not in going back, but in moving forward. Shed the skin of convention, Alice. Embrace your curiosity and see beyond what your eyes perceive.
But how am I to do that? How am I to navigate this whimsical world? I'm only 3 inches tall, And it's such an awful height to be.
You will get used to it in time. One side will make you grow taller, and the other side will make you grow shorter.
The other side of what? The other side of what?
Of the mushroom!
Alice walks around the gigantic mushroom, contemplating to herself.
But which side is which? Oh.
Poor Alice. She chose the wrong side. She reaches up and takes a morsel on the other side of the mushroom.
Oh.
Success! Alice returns to her normal height. Alice wanders for hours like a lost puppet.
Not
She
rain.
eventually finds herself in an eerie forest. Large trees and dark foliage narrow the path. A figure emerges from the bushes.
Well, what have we here? Lost, are we?
Oh, it's you, the Cheshire Cat. Would you please tell me which way to go?
My dear Alice, that depends a good deal on where you want to get to.
Well, I don't care much for where,
Then it doesn't matter which way you go.
so long as I get somewhere. What sort of people live here?
In that direction lives a hatter, and in that direction lives a March hare. Visit either one you like. They are both mad.
But I don't want to be among mad people.
Alice, you cannot help that. We are all mad here. I am mad. You are mad.
How do you know I'm mad?
You must be, or you wouldn't have come here. Now tell me, do you play croquet with the Queen today?
Oh, I'd very much like to, but I wasn't invited.
You shall see me there.
She had not gone much farther before she came in sight of the house of the March Hare. She thought it must be the right house, because the chimneys were shaped like ears, and the roof was thatched with fur. There was a table set out under a tree in front of the house, and the March Hare
storm.
and the Hatter were having tea at it. The table was a large one, but they were crowded together at one end.
No room!
No room, no room.
They cried out when Alice approached.
But there's plenty of room.
She replied, and she sat down in a large armchair at the end of the table.
Have some wine.
Oh, but there isn't any.
There isn't any.
Then it wasn't very civil of you to offer.
Then it wasn't very civil of you to offer.
It wasn't very civil of you to sit down without being invited.
I didn't know it was your table. It's laid out for a great many people.
Your hair wants cutting.
You should learn not to make such personal remarks. It's very rude.
Why is a raven like a writing desk?
Oh, now I have some fun. I believe I can guess that one.
What day of the month is it?
I think it's the 4th.
2 days wrong. I told you butter wouldn't suit the works.
It was the best butter.
Yes, but some crumbs must have got in as well. You shouldn't have put it in with the bread knife.
The March Hare took his pocket watch, dipped it into his cup of tea, and looked at it again.
It was the best butter, you know.
What a funny watch. It tells you the day of the month, but not what time it is?
Why should it? Does your watch tell you what year it is?
Well, of course not, but that's not what they
Which
do.
is just the case for mine. Now, have you guessed the riddle yet?
No, I give up. What's the answer? Why is a raven like a round desk?
I haven't the faintest idea.
Nor I.
Then I think you ought to do something better with your time than wasting it by asking riddles you have no answer to.
Well, if you knew time as well as I do, you wouldn't talk about wasting it.
I don't know what you mean.
Of course you don't. I dare say you've never spoken to time.
Oh, perhaps not, but I know how to beat time when I learned music.
Ah, that accounts for it. He won't stand beating, you know. Now, if only you kept on good terms with him, he'd do almost anything you'd like. For instance, suppose it were 9 o'clock in the morning. Just time to begin lessons. You'd only have to whisper a hint to time, and round goes the clock in a twinkling. 1:30, time for luncheon.
I only wish it was.
Oh, is that how you manage?
Not I. We quarrelled last March, just before he went mad, you know. It was at the great concert given by the Queen, and I had to sing Twinkle, twinkle, little bat, how I wonder where you're at. Well, I'd hardly finished the first verse when the Queen bawled out, he's murdering the time! Off with his head!
Oh, how dreadfully savage.
And ever since that, he won't do a thing I ask. It's always 6 o'clock to me.
Is that why there's so many tea things out?
Yes, that's it. It's always tea time, and we've no time to wash things between the whiles. Change the subject. I'm getting tired of this.
I don't think.
Then you shouldn't talk.
This piece of rudeness was too much for Alice to bear. Neither the March Hare nor the Mad Hatter took the least notice of her going, though she looked back once or twice, half hoping that they would call after her. The last time she saw them, the Mad Hatter was trying to put the March Hare's head in the teapot.
Very good.
Alice finds herself in the beautiful garden, among the bright flower beds and the cool fountains. A large rose tree stood near the entrance. The roses growing on it were white. There was a gardener painting them red.
Oh. Would you tell me, please? Why are you painting those roses?
Well, why, the fact is, you see, miss, this here ought to have been a red rose tree, and we put a white one in by mistake. And if the Queen was to find out, we should have our heads cut off, you know? So, you see, miss, we're doing our best before she comes to the Queen! The Queen!
Is this? What's your name, my child?
My name is Alice, Your Majesty.
And who is this?
Oh.
Yes!
How should I know? It's no business of mine.
Off with her head! Off
Oh,
with her
nonsense.
head!
Look at the makeup.
Consider it, my dear. She's only a child.
Turn him over. Get up!
The gardener is petrified of the Queen. Who wouldn't be? The Queen notices that the roses are being painted, and she is furious.
What
Is he
have you
doing
been
a-
doing here?
Is he doing an
Well,
impression?
may it please your majesty, we were trying to...
I see. Off with his head!
Come with me.
She knows how to do
That's
stage
right.
makeup.
Do you
We can
play
actually see her.
croquet?
Oh, yes.
Come on then.
Alice thought she had never seen such a curious croquet ground in her life. It was all ridges and furrows. The croquet balls were live hedgehogs, and the mallets live flamingos. The chief difficulty Alice found at first was in managing her flamingo. She succeeded in getting its body tucked away comfortably enough under her arm, with its legs hanging down, but generally, just as she had got its neck nicely straightened out, and was going to give the hedgehog a blow with its head, it would twist itself round and look up in her face with such a puzzled expression that she could not help bursting out laughing. And when she had got its head down and was going to begin again, it was very provoking to find that the hedgehog had unrolled itself and was in the act of crawling away. The players all played at once without waiting for turns, quarrelling all the while, and fighting for the hedgehogs. And in a very short time, the Queen was in a furious passion, shouting,
Off with her head! Off with her head!
about once every minute. Alice was looking for some way of escape and wondering whether she could get away without being seen, when she noticed a curious appearance in the air. It was the Cheshire Cat.
How do you like the Queen?
Oh, not at all. She's so extremely, oh, likely to win. It's hardly worthwhile finishing the game.
Come with me.
Off with it! Oh,
If you please, Your Majesty, the trial is about to commence.
Wow.
In the courtroom,
Ralph.
the king and queen of hearts sat on their
Uh-huh.
thrones. The great crowd assembled about them. In the middle of the court, there is a table with a large dish of tarts upon it. Oh, they looked so good.
White Rabbit.
Herald, read the accusation.
The white rabbit blows on his trumpet and unrolls a scroll.
The Queen of Hearts, she made some tarts, all on a summer day. The Knave of Hearts, he stole those tarts and took them quite away. Then consider your verdict. Not yet, not yet. There's a great deal to come before that. Okay, then, call the first witness. First witness?
I apologise, Your Majesty, for bringing in my tea and bread and butter, but I hadn't quite finished my tea when I was sent for.
take off your hat.
It
How
isn't
many people are
mine.
here?
Stolen!
What's
I
the
keep
Cheshire
them to
Cat doing there?
sell. I've none of my own. I'm a hatter.
Just give your evidence, and please, don't be nervous, or else I'll have you executed on the spot.
Oh, I'm a poor man, Your Majesty, and I hadn't begun my tea, not above a week or so ago. And what with the bread and butter getting so thin, and the twinkling of the
The
tea.
twinkling of the what?
began with
Ralph
the
is
tea.
so good.
Of course, twinkling begins with the letter T. Do you take me for a fool? Please, go on.
I'm a poor man, and most things twinkled after that. Oh, I'm a poor man, Your Majesty.
You are a very poor speaker.
I'd rather finish my tea.
Then you may go.
Wow.
Just
Incredible.
take his head off outside.
Please call the next witness.
Alice.
Oh, here.
What do you know about this business?
Nothing.
Nothing whatever?
Nothing whatsoever.
This is very important.
Unimportant, Your Majesty means, of course.
Unimportant, of course. I meant important, unimportant,
The
important.
king was getting himself in a muddle.
Unimportant.
Silence! Now, Rule 42. All persons must have something important to say.
But I don't have anything to add.
Yes, you do.
Well, I shan't be adding anything at any rate.
But it's the oldest rule in the book.
Then ought it be number 1?
Jury, consider your verdict.
There's more evidence to come, Your Majesty. This paper has just been picked up.
The white rabbit removes a small envelope from his waistcoat pocket.
Well, what's in it?
I haven't opened it yet, but it seems to be a letter written by the Knave to somebody.
Then it must have been that, unless it was written to nobody. We all know is unusual. Do you know who it is directed to?
It isn't directed at all. It isn't a letter, after all. It's a set of verses.
Are they in the prisoner's handwriting?
No, they're not, and that's the queerest thing about it.
Then he must have imitated somebody else's hand. There's no other explanation.
Please, Your Majesty, I didn't write it. They can't prove that I did. There's no name signed at the end.
Well, if you didn't sign it, that only makes the matters worse. You must have meant some sort of mischief, or else you'd have signed your name like an honest man.
That proves his guilt, so off with his head.
It doesn't prove anything of the sort. You don't even know what you're on about. It seems like the legal system here in Wonderland is absolutely ridiculous. You're all just making it up as you go.
I do not care for your views, citizen. Now you read them. Where shall I begin, Your Majesty?
Well, begin at the beginning and then go on until you come to an end, and then you will stop.
The White Rabbit prepares himself to read the letter.
Right. They told me you had been to her and mentioned me to him. She gave me a good character, but I said I could not swim. He sent them word I had not gone. We knew it to be true. If she should push the matter on, what would become of you? I gave her 1, they gave me 2. You gave us 3 or more. They all returned from him to you, though they were mine before. If I or she chanced to be involved in this affair, he trusts to you to set them free exactly as we were. My notion was that you had been, before she had this fit, an obstacle that came between him and ourselves in it. Don't let him know she liked them best, for this must never be. A secret kept from all the rest, between yourself and me.
Well, that's the most important piece of evidence we've had yet. So let the jury...
If any of them can explain, I'll give them $1. They ain't an atom of meaning in it.
Well, if there's no meaning to it, that saves the world of trouble, as we needn't try to find any, and yet I still do not know.
The White Rabbit passes the paper to the king.
I seem to see some meaning in them. After all, said I could not swim. You can't swim, can you?
Do I look like it?
The king studies the note.
All right. So far, we know it to be true. Well, that's the jury, of course. And if she should push the matters on, well, that must be the queen. What would become of you? Well, I don't know what indeed. I gave her 1, they gave him 2. That must be what he did with the tarts, of course.
But then it goes on. They're all returned from him to you.
What? Well, there they are. Nothing can be clearer than that. Then again, before she had this fit, well, you never had any fits, did you, dear?
Never!
Well, then the words simply don't fit you. It's a pun. Let the jury consider the verdict.
No, sentence first, verdict after.
Stuff and nonsense. The idea of having a sentence first.
Hold your tongue.
I won't. The legal system here is completely flawed.
Off with her head!
Exactly my point. Who cares for you? You're nothing but a pack of cards.
At this, the whole pack of cards rose up in the air and came flying down upon her. She tried to beat them away and found herself lying on the bank. Her sister saying, "Wake up, Alice, dear. Why? What a long sleep you've had."
I've had such a curious dream.
Alice sat on the bank, thinking about her dream, and she pictured herself being a grown woman.
Oh, wow.
And how she would keep through her riper years the simple and loving heart of her childhood, and how she would gather about her other little children and make their eyes bright and eager with many a strange tale, perhaps even with the dream of Wonderland of long ago, and how she would feel with all their simple sorrows and find pleasure in all their simple joys, remembering her own childhood and the happy summer days. Fin.